What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade basketball analysis coming to y'all with a quick video. This is gonna be a little hype. Yeah, I ain't gonna use a big word, but this is gonna be a little different video. It's still gonna be a question to the fans and a question on all my platforms that see this video. Today we're gonna talk about Emmanuel Mudiay, a guy I knew that was gonna be either a bust or a solid player in his beginning of the seasons. Obviously, his rookie year, we seen some flashes, some 20 games, some 20-point games, some high assist game. He finished the season with 5.5 assists and 12.8 points. It wasn't really a good shooter. Made it tougher on his teammates because teams would sag off of him, forcing him to take those jumpers. He always faded, which I never really got. Like, if you're already a bad shooter, fading don't really help you shoot better. It makes the shot a lot harder. And we have also learned that he's an average athlete. Mudiay is not as explosive as we thought he was. He wasn't a great finisher either. I'm not saying he was terrible, but he wasn't as good of a finisher as we thought. We thought that he was a elite cutter going into the league, unless that's what we thought. But obviously, he wasn't an elite cutter and finisher in the NBA level. He basically didn't blow past that many people on a consistent basis, and he was struggling to get his shot. One of the biggest problems with Mudiay is that he really didn't have no bread and butter. Like I said, we thought the cutting and getting to the basket would be it. It just wasn't. He got a lot of buckets in transition, which is easy because, once you get that first step, you can always get to the basket, or you get that good lead pass. You can dunk and get layups, but he still struggled, just to get his shot. He didn't struggle as bad as Lonzo Ball was doing, but he struggled throughout the whole season. I thought that the dude at one point, I thought he wasn't even an NBA player, how bad he was struggling. Obviously, he got it back going at the ending of the season, And with him, you would think that coming into his sophomore year, seeing how hard it was, seeing how much he struggled, you would think that you will see a different approach from him. He's still only 200 pounds. He got a 6'5" body, which I'm a little shocked about that. He's still not that big, not that buff. Not saying that he didn't work out, but 6'5", 200, that's okay at best. Especially for the point guard position. He's basically a shooting guard playing point guard because the shooting guards are 6'5" and higher. Really 6'4" and higher, but you got a lot of 6'3" and below point guards. You have 6'4" ones like Drew Holiday, but technically that's a shooting guard in the last couple eras. But now, a lot of point guards are around that size. But he couldn't shoot. He couldn't space out the floor. In the space and pace era, you would love somebody that can shoot and play in the pick and roll. He wasn't a great pick and roll player because if he went under the screen, you would let him shoot threes. But he'll show signs, like I said, that he can knock down the three. He'll show signs where he get hot from the three, but he couldn't do it on a consistent level. And you can see that in his three-point percentage being below 36% in every season. While he was starting, obviously he's shooting 40% this season, but he's taking a career less threes and he's getting a career low in minutes, which means he's making the best out of his opportunities. And we expected more. Remember, Mudiay was a top 10 pick. He was a top 10 pick the whole season of him playing overseas and coming out of high school. People expected him to dominate. People expected him to be significantly better. But as we start seeing in Summer League and we start seeing in the first couple, months of his career in the NBA, that it was going to be a struggle for him to consistently find his shot and get his shot. His second best ability was playmaking. And like I said, he averaged 5 assists, which isn't crazy, which isn't amazing, but it was good enough, because most point guards average around 6 to 7 at the most. You got players like John Wall, Russell Westbrook, and Chris Paul that can give you double-digit assists while still giving you a lot of points. Obviously, that's expecting a little bit too much out of Mudiay. I'm not saying that he shouldn't aim that high, but, going into the season, we never thought he would be a 2010 player anyway during his career, like Ty Lawson came close to. But Mudiay ended up bottoming out as an average athlete, weak shooter, cannot space out the floor, and a guy that, created shots for other people but couldn't get his own consistently, which made him struggle because most of the point guards now know how to put the ball in the basket. Worst case scenario, they can score and pass. Something that he showed that he can pass and get people involved and get people the shots, but he couldn't do it for himself, which really hurt his brand and his stock in a league where point guards are score driven, score easy and score driven. Now, his second season was a bit of a flop. He started some games, he got injured some games, and he had to fight Jamal Murray for some of the starting minutes. We started to see the torch being passed to Jamal Murray because Murray was better in the pick and roll. He was more harder to guard because of his 3-point shot, and he was a person that could get to the rim, obviously more than Mudiay. Jamal Murray is far from a great finisher, but at least he attacked and put pressure on the defense with his scoring and his mentality that he can take shots. Because Jamal Murray come off that screen and shoot a three. Jamal Murray come off that screen and go right to the basket. Obviously, he lacks the ability to pass like Mudiay, and he's nowhere near the playmaker that Mudiay is. Even though Mudiay ain't an excellent playmaker, he's significantly better at keeping his teammates involved and finding them shots than Murray. But Murray is the modern day point guard, a point guard where you want them to shoot the threes and play in pick and roll and get to the basket, draw fouls. Worst case scenario, dump it off to Jokic for a three, mid range, or a dunk. Same with Plumlee, and obviously keeping people like Gary Harris fed every once in a while, or just getting a hockey assist. Jamal Murray fits more the modern day score first point guards that we see now. Not saying that in NBA history we didn't have scoring first point guards. And Murray, like I said, he more of a shooting guard to me. And the thing that's funny about Murray, him and Gary Harris is actually the same size, and they have the same mentality, which is shoot threes, attack when they run you off the 3-point line, and try to finish around that basket or get fouled or kick it out to a 3-point shooter like Wilson Chandler and players like that. And Paul Millsap has been injured a lot this season too, and that hurts them a little bit and hurted them being a higher seed because he was such a big part of what they wanted to do this season. And even though they played well last year, barely missing the playoffs, Paul Millsap was a part of them going further in this transition from a bad team to a playoff team. Best part about it is they're still a playoff team. But Mudiay, going from being a starter and a franchise player for the Denver Nuggets to a guy that we don't even know how long his career will be is the reason why I made this video, because at this point, Mudiay was drafted to be the franchise point guard. You knew that because they traded Ty Lawson to the Rockets the same year they drafted Mudiay. They was going in a different direction. Obviously, they continued to lose the last couple seasons. Last year being the year that they got better, but they still missed the playoffs by one win. But it's unfortunate. But at the same time, Mudiay was, tagged as the franchise point guard, potential building block for the future. And now he's basically going to be hanging on to his career because I don't really know what teams will want him unless you're going to try him out. Obviously, he's going to be a restricted free agent, which means even if they can negotiate a deal, Mudiay probably a backup at best in this league, which is disappointing for a top 10 pick and a guy that was a coveted player from everybody for the last 2-3 seasons of his high school and overseas career. Even coming in the league, we expected significantly more from him, and it was a little unrealistic because he was not as good as an athlete as we started seeing, and he wasn't as good of a scorer, and we knew that he wasn't going to be able to make or break shots. I made a rookie analysis said the thing that's going to be important for a guy like Mudiay is making and taking and creating his own shot. If he's not going to be able to do it, he ain't going to have an all-star career. He's not going to have an all-NBA career. He's going to be an average player at best. And now we're starting to see, them going from him being a franchise point guard to now he's more of a backup to Jamal Murray, who got drafted the year after Mudiay, and they already getting ready to, like I said, 19 minutes a game is not going to cut it, especially for a young player that want to prove himself, a young player that's hungry, and a young player trying to eat in the NBA, which means you want to play as many minutes as you can and have as big of an impact as you can, so that way you can get as much money you can, and that's from the NBA. But So far, he looked like he's going to be a backup at best. It is some places I can see him potentially trying to go to. Um, the Hawks, if they don't want to keep Schroeder or they get a good, package and they want to ship out Schroeder, I can see them trading Schroeder to get Mudiay, not from Denver, but getting rid of Mudiay to get another piece or going up in a draft. And then I can see um, a team like the Pelicans, even though they need shooting, if Rondo don't work out or they can't keep him long term, Moutier can be a solid point guard for them, even though they got a good veteran and players like Jameer Nelson and stuff on that roster. The Pelicans obviously can just always put Drew Holiday back at point at worst case scenario, but if they need a backup point, I can see that. At worst, same with the Nets. If they really wanted to try him out, see if he can still develop, give him a $50 to $60 million contract for 4 years. I can see that being a little fair because you're trying to get him for potential. It was one more team that I thought that he can go to and try at least to see if he can make a difference, and is the Jazz. But even I can see, I can see the Utah Jazz trying to get a good player for a cheap price. And when you do a restricted free agent, y'all doing an offer sheet. Worst case scenario, you get matched. Best case scenario, you offer the deal that you want. Sometimes you do have to overpay a little bit, but I can see a team like Utah trying to get Mudiay because he's a young prospect that shows potential every once in a while, and he's still young. And at worst case scenario, he's gonna be a bench player. I really wouldn't want to pay $60 million for a guy to come off the bench. But like I said about D'Angelo Russell and them guys, Moutier is about to turn 22, and this is his third season. Obviously, he might be eligible for a restricted free agent after this season or next season. I'm not sure, honestly. But the guy is only going to turn 22 this year. He's still young. He's still getting stronger. He's still getting smarter. He still can be better. He still can potentially be a franchise point guard. It just didn't work out in Denver because they suck so bad that they was able to draft Jamal Murray in that top 10. And he obviously is a better fit with Jokic being an alpha male and a guy that likes to take shots and not scared to take big shots. And he can actually shoot, which helps Jokic because he can kick it out to a three-point shooter or a mid-range shooter. And Jamal Murray is both of those, and he can get to the basket. So he fits better than Mudiay because he can't shoot, can't stretch out the floor, and not really good at free throws either. So even if you get to the basket, you don't really trust him to knock down free throws. Worst case scenario. So let me know what you guys think. Is Mudiay still a starter? Can he be an all-star? Can he still be a franchise player? Should they give up on him? Should Denver trade him? Should they package together him and a couple other players and try to move up in the draft, or trade him for a missing piece, maybe for that small forward position after they lost Gallo? Maybe they want to upgrade over Wilson Chandler. Do you think they should just continue to push for the playoffs and just try to get as good as they can get, even if they can't beat Golden State? What do you think Denver should do? What do you think Mudiay should do? Should he request a trade like Jahlil Okafor? Because it's obvious that the Nuggets don't need him and they don't mind downing his value by not giving him the playing time. And they got some picks. They got some good talent on this roster. They can always package all these cheap contracts and these tradable players together to get a franchise guy, to get a guy to go with Jokic. And if the person come up, do you think Mudiay will be one of those players? Or you think that he's a bust, he's not good, and he had his opportunity? Now it's time for him to be like Trey Burke. Is either you're going to be a good bench player or you're not going to be able to play in this league. And we done seen Trey Burke go from being a top 10 coveted player to now he's not even in the league at all. And he actually played the backup for the Wizards before he got kicked out of the league because all the other teams didn't even try to get him when he left the Wizards. And do you think that's going to be the same thing that happened to Mudiay? If you liked the video, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you're on Facebook, like the Facebook page. Obviously, my YouTube account is pinned on my Facebook. My website is in the description of my Facebook. If you're on Twitter, click the video, like on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube, and my YouTube account will be pinned on my Twitter. Also, my website will be in the description of my Twitter. And also, if you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. Check out my Facebook account and my website in the description in the comment section below. Click the link, it's into my website. Click the link, it'll send you to my Facebook page, Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis. I'm gone. And let me know what you guys think about Emmanuel Mudiay future. Is he a bust? Can you resurrect his career? He's still young. He still got potential, and low risk contract because his value is going down.